speaker?
We're gonna go back, that speaker right here is left us out.
Oh, okay.
We'll go back, thank you.
You bet.
All right, call the meeting to order. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to our 2023 annual meeting. It's been a busy year. It's good to see everyone. The election results will be our first, and we did meet quorum. There were 146 ballots that came in. There were 9 that had no signature. Again, it's much better than last year, so those counted for quorum but could not be counted for vote. There were 8 that voted. They just wanted quorum only, did not vote for anybody. The first is Lois Johnson at 123 votes. Welcome back on that. We have Dano back again. And then that was at 120. We have Rick Hatch at 114 and Rick Renee at 114. So we actually have to have a runoff here, and we'll do it old Western style with a high card. There's a position, usually the least votes gets the 2-year, and then the winner maybe gets the 3-year. But what we'll do, we'll have you guys draw for high card, and high card can pick whether they want 2 or 3-year. So, come on up, the 2 Ricks.
Sounds like the board needs seats. We're out of here. Thank you.
Well, I do want to say thanks before we do that then. Mark Nexel, Gail Bellier, and Ann Stelton. They've done a great job through the years of keeping this place running here, and I appreciate what they've done. So. All right, guys. High card. This is twice.
It's a marked deck.
I'm sorry, Dad.
It's in there too.
Yeah.
All right. 2 or 3 years.
I'm gonna start with 2.
Okay.
Smart move.
All right, and again, thanks to the 3 that just went off. They've done a lot of work through the years, and appreciate everything they've done. All right, again, we do have quorum, so we can continue. Now is the election of the officers, and well, that's the board that selects the officers on it. That's correct. Anyone?
Do we start from one position? Are we starting with president?
Afraid so.
Okay, I'd like to nominate Mr. William Campbell to continue in the role of president.
I'll second that. I'll 30.
There's a train running again. No one wants it. Figure it out. All right. Any
All in
other
favor?
suggestions? All right. Those in favor of electing me again, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. For vice president, I'd like to suggest Rick Lovedahl again. He's been a good right-hand man for me in helping out. I would nominate him. Look for a second on that.
I'll second that.
Anyone else? Okay, those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. All right, next would be treasurer. That's Sarah this year. She's gotten busy with doing stuff, so she will not be able to be treasurer this year. So we do need a new treasurer so that anyone, it's not as much work as it used to be because it all comes through the homeowners association, PDS. And so it's not like it used to be, if anyone's interested in running for treasurer.
Yeah, you want to do it? Nope. Rick, you want to do it? Nope. Rick, do you want to do it? I'll give it a shot.
All right,
I'll
He's
nominate
good
Rick.
with numbers.
and a second?
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Congratulations, treasurer. All right, last position would be secretary. That's just to take notes here. Last year was Gail took it. So we do need someone to be treasurer. Lois, do you have an interest in being secretary?
Not interested.
That's good enough.
I'll nominate Lois.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
All right, congratulations.
That's taking one for the team, Lois.
Okay, next would be minutes of the 22 annual meeting. That was discussed last year in May. The board made a decision a few years before that rather than wait until years later to look at everything, that we would look at it the next month while it was fresh in our minds. So we did preliminary approve it, but it has to still be done here. Is it through the whole association that approves it then, or just the board?
No, just the board.
Okay. If anyone has any questions about last year's minutes,
I move that we accept them as written.
okay, second? All right. And all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Treasurer's report. As of 3/31, we have total assets of 47,946. It did end up a little over budget because of legal fees. That's on its way to be totally settled, so we'll have a few more this year, but it won't be anywhere near that, what it's been over the last year. We have last year we spent about $25,000 in roads to get the roads improved on it. We should be able to spend at least that much this year on it, if not a little bit more on it. We're concentrating on obviously the potholes. We've got the repair patch for that should be here next week. We'll start looking at other areas to talk to who's the Tri-State, or
Can't remember.
who's the paving company?
The guys we used last year, I can't remember.
I just blanked out on it.
Those guys. They did a great job.
All right, they did a good job for us. They're new owners of that Mid-State Paving. They were at one point wanting to try to get into some chip seal as well, but in talking to him, he also said that we don't necessarily have to do total paving if we don't want to. He was suggesting that we do what they call a Maricopa edge along there to hold in the chip seal that we got. So we would do some repairing on the chip seal, but not have to not pave the whole thing, which over a period of time would save us a ton of money. So we'll be looking at that. We'll also have areas selected that are the worst to get paved over this year too. So We're also going to be working on getting the culverts cleared out, getting the ditches a little bit better shape so that everything's flowing and not going into the roads on it. So that's our plan on that.
Is this where you ask for volunteers, Bill?
Always volunteers. Let me know if weekends work better for you or weekdays. We usually do it on weekdays because not as much traffic and stuff. But with people that are down and out of town, if it's weekends would work better, we can do that or a combination of
There's so much work, we could probably do both.
yeah, for sure on that one. So let us know and volunteer for anything, whether it be with the auxiliary, whether it be fire-wise and stuff. And we just finished up that. Let's see what else I have in the treasures. Again, our reports, our treasurer's reports are online. If you want to take a look at them, we do it monthly if you have questions on it.
What's the website?
I'm sorry?
What's the website?
It's bbestates1.com.
That's
That's
not
not
it.
that one.
That's not
Yeah.
it.
No, bbestates1.com.
Thank you.
This one is more of newsletters and information like that on it. So.
This is a community website that's not the HOA website. The other one that Bill just stated is the official HOA website.
All right. Some of the expenses that looked high, just real quick on it. We had looked like double the insurance, so it looked really high, but really it looks like it was paid at the end of the beginning of last year, and then it came due again like a month earlier or something. So that's why it looks higher. So we're really on budget on that one.
Bill, can you show how much is still past due?
Actually, it's not that bad because most of the dues due this year aren't past due till the end of April.
Okay.
So there was only like 5,000 that was in the hole on it. The one thing to make sure everyone is aware of, if you go late, PDS adds a $15 admin fee on that as well. So it's not just a $15 late fee, and they're not forgiving on that one. So just make sure everyone is paid up on it. Like I said, finances, we should start improving now as we're wrapping up on the settlement agreement. Legal is in the final stages of getting that worded to get everything approved with the judge on it. So hopefully in the next month that'll be done. Okay, any questions? All right. We talked about roads coming up. Talked about the legal disputes. And we're really actually up to member comments at this point. Any questions?
I'd like to make a summary of the cell tower.
Okay. All right, we'll get to that then. Hold on. Any comments on anybody? Okay. Rick has a couple comments. If you haven't heard yet, we have an opportunity with Verizon to put in a tower. They came to us. We as a board felt that it's worthwhile to at least pursue it and see if it's something that can be worked out here. The good news is, other than us presenting it to the landowners, we don't have any say on it. Okay, so what we'll be asking here, we'll be having some meetings coming up, and we'll be asking you to take a look at all the information and weigh everything on it and see if it's something we want to do. It's going to take 80% of the homeowners to approve the tower. So just keep that in mind as it's coming up over this next year. It's not going to happen fast, but we'll keep everybody informed on it. So.
Where's the tower going to be?
Right now, we're looking at the tower being behind the mailboxes. Part of that is the Forest Service, but behind that is property that we've got that we have room to put it in. So that's where it would go at this point.
Yeah, it's great to see a lot of people here, and we have talked about this a little bit in the past, but I'll just give a brief summary of it from the very beginning. Last year, a company, it's actually not Verizon, although Verizon is the driving force behind it. The way they do this is a company that's their skill, the consulting company, they go and they find sites and then they get them reviewed by Verizon because the electronics and the radio capabilities are right and everything else. So they came to Beaver Valley. It's actually part of a bigger effort. Some of you may have heard of this going on other places. For example, Whispering Pines had a meeting a couple of months ago, and there's a tower that's actually built already. I don't know if it's in the final stages or yet up in Tonto Village. There also is another tower that's going to go in down across from Mesa Del. So and I believe the nearest that we found out is that this is a push that's come from investments in infrastructure to encourage the deployment of cell coverage for people that are in remote rural areas, and that's us. And it's, again, as Bill said, we as a board don't decide this, but this opportunity came to us. So what we're doing is we're trying to set it up, serve it up. In what we've done is, as Bill mentioned, they initially wanted to put it right in front of the community center here, and we talked them out of that. And actually what we found was a much better location, as Bill said. Behind the mailbox is an area that is, part of Beaver Valley Common land. And the reason this will take 80% is that at some point in time we'll need to do a lease agreement with probably not Verizon. It'll probably be this other company, which I think Pinnacle, or another tower builder that the thing gets handed off to. So in any case, there'll be a lease of some duration that's not determined yet in order to do that. And that's what triggers by our bylaws. That's how, if you lease anything, it has to be at 80% approval. So where we are on this is that we've gotten the location. There's a whole bunch of things related to county approval. Just like any other kind of a building permit, there's a few special things because of it being a communications tower, but it's basically a county building permit. So there's what they call a pre-application meeting on the 27th of April this month, and Bill and I have been invited to sit in, and we're basically going to listen unless they want to know anything about the community that we can help them with, and then they'll move on. At some point, once they get the approval, after that point is when we'll put together, what needs to be sent out. It'll be something that needs to be signed by every person who owns a lot in Beaver Valley. So let's see. So the other thing that's going to happen, and it's not set in concrete yet, but they want to come and to make a presentation to Beaver Valley and to be able to answer questions. We encourage them to be, to share as much of it as possible to make sure that everybody has all their questions answered and is prepared to decide if this is something you want to do or not. Initially we were encouraging them to do it today, but there's a lot of stuff in the background that wasn't ready yet. So we're not sure if it'll be next month or June, but sometime in the next couple of months, look for, we'll make sure that that's an announcement is made about that. That's pretty much where they are right now. Yes?
Are they gonna pay us?
Sorry?
Are they gonna pay us?
Well, that's part of certainly. How much is yet to be, there's been no negotiations yet, and I've asked them to, I kind of thought they'd give us some kind of a pro forma contract or something, and they haven't done that yet. I think partially because they've been trying to get over the humps of making it possible. And what they are looking at is a 90-foot tower, probably going to look kind of like a pine tree. Yeah, it was funny. They actually gave us a choice of a pine tree or an elm tree. Now, I don't know I don't know how many elm trees we have around here, but not many. So, they are going to have some kind of Photoshop renditions that show kind of sort of what it'll look like. And when we have that, we'll share that as well. So, any questions?
I would advise everybody, sorry, my name is Dr. Brian Gabbard. I would advise everybody to research 5G and the safety effects, the health effects. There's not a lot of studies out there for or against it. It could be healthy and fine, it may not. So before we jump on the bandwagon, hey, we're getting money and we're getting faster internet, what's it gonna be long-term to our health?
That's a great suggestion. What's your name, sir?
Brian Gabbard.
Thank you, Brian. And I'm glad you said that because you know, I was at the Bill and I were, and I'm not sure who else, but there was somebody else here from Beaver Valley at the Whispering Pine ones. There were a lot of questions there. One of the things that I asked the team that's working on the tower for Beaver Valley, I said, what are you going to share with us? And I found out that there's a thing called the propagation, it's a radio propagation report, has those kinds of details. And so as soon as they get that prepared, and they can't do that until they've made some technical decisions on, you know, what they want to put on the tower. There's a bunch of radio technical stuff based on the terrain, how far they want to reach, all these kinds of things, what frequencies they'll use, et cetera, et cetera. That's the information you need in order to research those things. If you start looking on the internet, and I'm not going to say for or against or anything else, but if you look on the internet, it's a wonderful thing, but it has a lot of stuff, and some of it pertains to things that won't have anything to do with this, like cell phone technology has changed from the 90s to now. And then there's parts of 5G that are deployed in cities and not in rural areas. So we need to know specifically what frequencies and at what height it's going to be and things like that. That's what will be in this report. And as soon as we have that report, we will, we'll probably what we'll do is we'll put it on a website so that you can all see it. I mean, trying to deliver things to people is problematic. The best thing is to let you know where it's going to be, and then you can go and read it, whatever. So, but our goal is to provide as much information as possible to all of you so that you can make that decision.
Brian?
Again, real quick, I'm just gonna say, everybody's responsible for doing their own investigating. A lot of the reports are based on information that's not accurate, not by design, but just because there isn't enough research out there. And I'm not against this, just to let you know, I'm just concerned about what it's gonna do to us long-term if we don't know. Just like, you know, tobacco was fine for a while, look what happened. Oh, the vaccine's safe, look what happened. Be cautious on this. The reports that are coming out from the people who are behind this, they have a monetary reason to do this. Just, again, I don't have enough information and I've done a lot of research. There's not a lot of research out there, so I can't come to you and say, I've got the smoking gun, this is not good. It's just not there yet. So just take that into consideration before we make a decision as a community.
And that's great advice on that. You know, we don't want to go into something financially if we're all going to fry to death here, but there's a lot of information out there on both sides, and we'll try and keep it, you know, whatever we can find that's the most professional as far as researched information on it. So, and again, like Brian said, make your own choices as well as far as finding out information. As we get into this and you have questions, we'll get the people we need to try and get the answers that you need on it. So it's going to be a lot of work on your part. Yes, sir.
Will people that have 4G cell phones still be able to use that tower? Or will you have to have a 5G phone?
Yeah, what they typically do now, they've used to be the towers had 4G and then 3G. Well, 3G's been retired, and so towers typically have 4G and 5G now. And both of them, it's not a one thing. Each of these is kind of an umbrella under which there are a number of different frequencies and things like that for both 4G and for 5G. That's what'll be in this propagation report. It'll talk in detail that. The other thing I just want to say is that you know, I sat in the same meeting as Brian was up at Whispering Pines, and one of the things I thought of is, you know, at that time, the guys that did the presentation did not do a good job. They were asked questions and they couldn't answer them adequately, and there was eye rolling and things like that. So I told our team, I said, you don't want to have that happen. You know, you want to make sure that people get information and they get information that they can believe and they can verify for themselves. And so what they're going to do is they're going to bring a real expert, a guy who worked for Verizon, and he's a consultant. He's actually one of the guys that does these reports. Very knowledgeable. There's, you know, the team, just so you know, the team that's talking to us, they're kind of like architects. They know how to deal with setbacks and, you know, planning for what needs to go to the site for the tower. They're not the radio people. They're not the people that have the information to answer those kind of questions. But they're going to bring somebody like that to be at the meeting when they come here, and that's a good thing.
Okay, yes?
Have we done any kind of survey or anything throughout all the residents here in Beaver Valley to see who does get good service and who doesn't? I'd be kind of curious to know what that, I've been here 22 years and I don't get service whatsoever. I can't text, I can't get calls. I have a landline because I can't, and I just wonder, and I'm down on the riverbed, okay? So is that everybody, or is there just a few of us that don't get service?
Yeah, it's pretty wide. I mean, we all have issues with
What the ratio is.
And in some ways, it seems like we're doing it the opposite way. You would think we would want to get everybody's opinion first on whether we should even have this and pursue it, but actually Verizon's looking at it the other way, saying they're going to do the whole cost up front to decide what they want or what they will need, and then bring it to the homeowners on whether we're going to do it or not. So, but yeah, I think we do have communication issues here that, you know, AT&T's we're supposed to have things, and everyone's promising everything, but nothing's showing up yet. So, yes.
I know I can't get Verizon from my house either, but I set up Wi-Fi calling through my modem over the landline, works great. Occasionally text don't send if I got a photo or a big video, but otherwise Wi-Fi calling works great. If I step out of the house, get away from it, I gotta get on a hill, get up high to get service.
You can also call Verizon and tell them you don't get service, and you can play their game, but get a free network extender, and it works.
Yeah,
And you
they'll
can
give
still
you
go off your Wi-Fi and extend their network.
Yes, sir.
I have a network
$400
extender.
when I call for that.
Hold on. Yes.
I have a network extender from Verizon, and it works fine around my house and my neighbors, about 75 feet around the house or 100, and it's just like a cell tower.
Yeah, and that's what Ann was talking about. And they'll try and charge you for it, but if you let them know that you're not in an area that's served by a tower, they will give it to you.
Yeah, I went through that scenario.
Yeah, but they try real hard to charge you for it.
Yeah.
I'd just like to add one more thing.
Wi-Fi calling.
Again, we're going to serve up all the information that we can find out, and we're going to be diligent about this. There are definitely pros and cons. A lot of the pros are on the side of safety. For example, if you don't have a cell connection, or your internet might be out, which is what your phone is bridged to, using Wi-Fi calling or using an extender, whatever, you can't call 911. You can't get the chief's skilled people here to take care of you. And that's a big reason why they've got this push to try to get people that are, I mean, people in cities haven't had a problem. They don't have a clue about this problem because it's solid everywhere. It's when you come out here that you have this issue. And and there's more than just your cell phone working. I mean, that's a big thing about being able to use 911. There's also, the county has a system called Everbridge. And if you don't know about it, it's an app. Download Everbridge, look it up. And it's something you put on your phone. It's the way that when there's an emergency, whether it's a fire or something like that, they can send notifications directly to you. They know where you are, so the areas of the fire is progressing. You know, again, if the internet's working, if the cell system's working, that's all wonderful. There's also some other things, and probably the chief could tell us more, but I know that there's some additional emergency communications things which can be passed through cell towers, which help the first responders as well, which aren't just to your phone, but they're other systems. So there's a whole bunch of sides to this, and so what we intend to do is to present all of this. There'll be pros and cons on all these things. The effects of the wavelengths that they're going to use for the radiation, where it's going to be, and what the benefits are. What are the things we're going to get? I mean, of course, part of it for them, they're motivated by selling. Like, if you live in Payson, you can get a package which receives T-Mobile or Verizon, and it gives you your home internet. So it would compete with things like the CenturyLink and Point Wireless and stuff like that. But it only works if there's a cell tower to deliver that. So having a cell tower, they can do that as well. So it's got a number of facets to it. It's not simple. I encourage you to think about it and read what we'll be serving up. And then at some point, we're not sure exactly when that'll be. This is a process that sometimes takes quite a long time in some communities. But when we have this, when we have enough information, that's when you'll be given a chance to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yes.
This is actually a question for Chief Saddlemeyer. I think last week there was a rescue done up at Waterwheel.
Could you state your name, please, sir?
Anybody that has a medical issue or needs emergency help in the Waterwheel Canyon recreational area, they have to send somebody to find cell phone service. Having a tower here in Whispering Pines will basically illuminate that whole canyon with cell service if it's put in by the mailboxes up here. So that'll be a big benefit to anybody that recreates in there and gets hurt. It'll give the people an opportunity to call 911 immediately from the location where they're at, where they don't have to go driving, searching for a place to get cell phone service. A lot of the people that come up here to recreate don't realize that there's a fire station a mile and a half up the road. So they don't drive up to the fire station to get help. They go searching for a location for cell phone service.
Doesn't that also help 911 dial into where the location is?
Yes, 911 and cell phone service has a capability of doing what they call reverse 911. So if you're out in the forest somewhere, you don't have service on your phone that you can make a phone call. You may only have one bar, or your phone may say SOS only. It'll still send an emergency signal to the closest 911 center. They will get that SOS message, and then they can reverse it back through the cell phone system through GPS and find out where you're at and send help to that location. You don't even have to tell them what's wrong, who you are, anything. You hit your 911 button or your emergency button on your phone, it'll send that signal to the 911 center. They can ping it back through the cell company and get a GPS location for you. So there's another advantage to the cell phone system, whether it's 4G, 5G, 3G, all of those have that capability right now. Having a cell phone tower and having cell phone service in the area is going to be a big benefit for emergency services. We have the capability on our cardiac monitors to send an EKG directly to the emergency room, so the physician can review that and look at it while we're taking care of a patient. But without cell phone service, we can't do that. If we're out in the rural area away from cell phone coverage right now, and we need to talk to the doctor at the hospital to get orders for a certain kind of medication that we don't have the authorization to use, we would have that ability to call the doctor directly from the scene and talk to them and confer with them and give us direction on how best to treat that patient that's over and above what our offline protocols are for paramedics. So, a lot of benefits to it, a lot of benefits. Just like anything, I'll admit that there are some risks, and like Dr. Gabbard said, these are unknown risks right now. This 5G's only been around for what, 7 or 8 years maybe? There hasn't been enough time of it being in existence for them to gather good, solid scientific information on what the possible negative side effects, health effects of 5G might be. we all have to make decisions ourselves, and I call it a risk-benefit analysis. Walking outside in the sunshine is a risk. I mean, albeit very slight, if you walk out there, you spend 20 minutes out there, if you're fair complected, you're probably gonna get a sunburn. That's radiation coming from the sun. That's around us all the time. There's cosmic radiation that comes to us from the cosmos, from exploding supernovas and gamma ray bursts from exploding black holes. I mean, we are inundated with radiation. This is just another form of that radiation.
Nobody's getting out alive.
You'll get you one way or another,
That's
huh?
right. No, we are all destined to become extinct.
Thank you, Chief. Again, it's gonna be we're gonna have to all do our homework on it. You know, I for one would not, if something happened as being president where it turned out to be dangerous, I would feel horrible. So, you know, we've got to look at what the true risks are of it as best as we can find out. So, you know, you all have to do your homework too. So, and we'll help you. We'll give you information as we find it. I'm searching it. I'm putting articles away already online, just both sides on it, just to see what's developing on it. So, yes, Patrick.
2 or 3 years ago, I spent a week near Tonto Village on a fall turkey hunt. And on the weekend, you could not get cell service because everybody comes up here and they're all using their cell phones and everything, and it was overburdened. Now, we don't have a lot of people right in here, but Water Wheel and these places, they get people and stuff. And I mean, what little cell service we got, it's going to be overpowered anyway. So this will help reduce that traffic and give everybody more opportunity for cell service.
That's a good question for when the Verizon and the consultants are here to ask. How are they equipping this? What kind of capacity are they equipping it for?
Everything's going to be open on this. We'll have as much discussion as we can. So just be aware of it. Show up at the meetings like you did today. Any other question on this one? All right. Yes, sir.
Would it help to go ahead and just kind of mark where it's going to be as far as letting people know?
Yes, if you drive out by the mailboxes and you head down Sleepy Hollow and then you look to the left, there's a pile of cinders, whatever.
Old granite.
If you
Asphalt.
walk in that direction and you keep on walking, it's there's actually kind of a flat spot. It's a high flat spot and it looks down over the river. That's the general area where it is. It's right along the edge from that, there's a telephone pole. You can see those little yellow markers that say forest boundary. Okay, it's gonna be put right along the edge on the Beaver Valley land that's abutting the Forest Service land on that spot. And I think it's a pretty good spot. It's actually 55 feet higher in elevation than the spot that they wanted to use out here, which is good. Radio stuff is better if it's up high. So this is 55 feet higher before they even put a tower. So, you know, they've said that turned out to be better. The Verizon engineers like that. And that's what they're progressing. That's what they're gonna present to the county at the meeting.
All right, one more question?
Just a comment. For 5G, and who has a cell phone in their pocket right now? Raise your hand. Do you know that's a transmitter and a receiver? So you're already getting hit with it as it is. Do you know the difference between 2.5 versus 5 on your Wi-Fi? No? You already have it in your home.
Difference is 5G is at a different wavelength.
It's at 3
constant
meter wavelength, which you're already getting hit with, versus 2.5 to 5. You're already being broadcast off of a Wi-Fi. As small as it is, we already have it being broadcast.
It doesn't matter if you have a cell phone or not, you're still being exposed to it.
Correct, you are, but you're transmitting it as well. So you're small versus big, it's already there.
It's already bad.
Not saying it's not, so is a banana.
All right. We're gonna do everything we can to make us all experts in this by the time we come to a vote, so be aware of it. The other thing in closing is we work for you guys. We get paid a lot here. So take advantage of that. If you have questions, if you have something you want to discuss, if you have something you want to yell at me about, it's okay. We're here to do what you guys want to do. This year with the winter time, we had the perfect storms a couple times. I don't remember where we had the roads flowing over the water flowing over the roads, and then the next morning it's frozen on because people have gone through it, so cars go sliding down. I don't ever remember that. This is the first year out of 5 years that I've been here where these floods have brought these little rocks down in tons, and that's what plugged up the culverts on it. It just, I haven't seen that before. It's a completely different landscape out there. So,
I heard it's 5G.
Huh?
5G.
Yeah, 5G would take care of that. Anyways, so but we're here for you guys. If you have questions, stuff, let us know.
This is where, we can't put this stuff on the association website. This is where we'll set up a place to put the information as we get it. And we'll share what we get from, the cell folks, and we can also share things that we find that need to be, that are helpful to you.
Is there a way for the residents to post articles on there as well?
You send it to me, and I manage that website. This is not social media, this is a
I understand that, but
website.
how do we guarantee it gets up there?
Well, let's just say this about that. There's no guarantee that we put everything there. We're gonna vet it, okay? That doesn't mean it's biased, that means we're gonna vet it to put it there.
No
And
offense,
there-
but understand you want the revenue from the tower, so it's in your best interest to have it go forward.
No,
so
it's
you're
not
going
in
to-
my best interest to do anything. I'm
Go
here for you
outside.
guys. You're gonna vote on it. We're not gonna vote on it.
Correct, if we can't get the right information out there, then ignorance is not an excuse on this one.
If you don't find the information that you want on there, let us know, and we'll take a look at it and see what we can do to get it on there. We're not trying to hide anything.
See what you can do might not be good enough, so can we set up another website?
Well, you can do that as well, and we'll steer them your way if you want. We're not trying to hide anything here. We're trying to do what's best for us health-wise, and what's good for communication, what's good for the community on it.
I understand that, I'm just
So-
afraid that money corrupts, that's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Whatever you think you need to do to help make sure if it's not being steered, getting the information that you think should be out there. I talked to Linda last week about sending me the stuff she's got, so when we see that, then I'll add that to what I've got so far. So, all right.
Put it down for you.
Yes.
To change the subject, when you do the culverts, are you gonna go back and redo them on the bridge on Birdie Lane?
Redo them.
Are you gonna work some more on those? The reason I'm asking is because right now, the way the water is it's not, there's two going towards the bridge, and this one over here is gonna get stagnant and cause a catastrophe with mold and.
Is that
mosquitoes.
which, north or south unit?
It's north of the bridge.
The north crossing.
The north crossing, Birdie Lane, don't you know where Birdie Lane is? My God, what's the difference?
She's talking about next to Albert's.
Yeah, that one culvert has never flowed very well, and that's one thing we're looking at as we widen this thing up a little
But
bit.
that's not my question. My
Okay.
question is, if you're gonna work on the culverts to get the rocks out, is there something you can do so that the water isn't sitting on the east side where the water isn't running, and it's just stagnant?
You know what you could do?
Maybe.
could
We had an issue with that a couple years ago, where,
It's always been that way.
well, it got cleaned out a couple years ago, and we had some issue with it. It went to court on it. So we need to look at it, and yes, we want to get the culverts flowing again, yes.
Yeah,
So-
and it needs filled in or something, or converted to where it goes over so it goes through the culverts.
Every time it floods, it changes, so it's, we'll do what we can to keep it running. Albert?
I have all the documentations in place from the Army Corps of Engineers that will allow you to do preventative maintenance on those culverts and keep that water flowing freely.
Okay, good.
So,
I think just to clarify that, because we got a bunch of things that are being talked about, like, as Albert said, maintaining the crossings and the culverts, that's our thing. But we can't go and re-sculpt or reshape the river in general. You know, we can't do that.
Well, that was done.
The river's gonna do what the river does. So, you know, as far as, you know, getting in there with a bulldozer and changing the course of the river, something like that, if it's possible, it takes a lot of time, and normally that's not the kind of thing we're all to do. However, what we can do is we can do maintenance. We can do, for example, if you look carefully at the culverts, at the crossings, the area just upstream of the crossings normally has been cleared back. As Bill said, this winter storm were legendary. They pushed a ton of, not a ton, you know, hundreds, thousands of tons of material along that river. And it's different than it was last fall. You know, that's not an HOA responsibility. That's the way nature took the river to its course. However, that being said, we have the right to go and clear it so that it doesn't easily plug. We did some quickie stuff this winter, and the only reason we didn't do more is because the next time a storm came through, it'd undo whatever you did. So we did the best that we could to clear it so that the water would go through the culverts. Just remember, those crossings are designed that the river goes over them. It's not a mistake, it's not a fault. That's the way they're designed. They're not a bridge at all. They are a crossing, and they're designed when the river goes to flood stage, it goes over. The culverts are to pass the water when it's in its normal state. And when it gets plugged, we realize that it could be normal state, but in it plugged, it goes over the top, so we fix that. But, you know, calls to like make it so that the river never floods the crossings, anybody who's lived here a long time knows that that's not possible. And you know, anyway, that's just a point on the design of those kind of crossings.
Okay, thank you. All right. I have no more on this today. Move to...
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. In favor? Thank you, everybody.